The number of people worldwide who have died from COVID-19 has topped 355,000, and there are almost 5.7 million confirmed cases. The hardest hit country remains the United States and has passed the staggering number of deaths from the new coronavirus, 100,000, from more than almost 1.7 million infections. Globally, 2.3 million have recovered from the virus. With the European Union unveiling a massive recovery plan to step up its emergence from the crisis, the catastrophic U.S. figure was a reminder of the devastation being wreaked all over the hard-hit Americas. South America, especially its largest nation, Brazil, has raised fresh alarm. Brazil reported the highest daily deaths in the world for the fifth straight day, and it trails only the United States in the number of infections. Europe, meanwhile, has slowly started reopening businesses as outbreaks on the continent slow, but Italy and Spain lack the firepower of richer European nations to rebuild their economies. The European Union unveiled a historic $825 billion recovery plan to get the continent back on its feet. In Cyprus, the badly hit tourism sector inched back to life as beaches opened again, but with sunbeds and parasols spaced apart to avoid crowding. In a bid to attract tourists, the government said it would pay the medical cost of anyone who tests positive for the virus while holidaying on the island. The British government said Wednesday it will launch its coronavirus test and trace service across England Thursday. This is a key pillar in its strategy to ease a nationwide lockdown introduced in late March. The new service aims to allow anyone with virus symptoms to be tested and those who have been in close contact with someone showing positive results to be traced and told to isolate for 14 days. This is VOA News. A White House spokesperson said Wednesday U.S. President Donald Trump will sign an executive order Thursday regarding social media companies, but there were no specifics. Spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany told reporters aboard Air Force One traveling with the president to Washington from Florida. Talk of the order comes one day after Twitter attached a warning to some of Mr. Trump's tweets, prompting readers to fact-check the president's claims. About 15 minutes before scheduled liftoff and the mission to the International Space Station by NASA and SpaceX was scrubbed due to weather worries. The NASA astronauts were to be the first in nearly a decade to head to the ISS. They were on board the SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft. The mission is rescheduled for Saturday and would be the final part of the testing phase of NASA's work with private companies to return to launching Americans into space. SpaceX is billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk's private rocket company. The U.S. Coast Guard said Wednesday a cruise ship crew member died last week of self-inflicted harm. This as it confirmed the latest in a series of apparent suicides among such workers trapped at sea because of the pandemic. A 32-year-old Filipino worker on a ship called Scarlet Lady, the only cruise ship owned by Virgin Voyages, died of apparent self-harm, the Coast Guard told AFP. The Florida-based company, founded by British billionaire Richard Branson, expressed its condolences over the death of its employee, but gave no details. The ship was to have made its maiden voyage in March, but that was canceled because of the pandemic, so the vessel has been in limbo off the coast of Florida ever since, with its crew trapped on board. The United States said Wednesday it was ending waivers in its sanctions for nations that remain in the Iran nuclear accord, bringing the deal further to the brink of collapse. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he was responding to Iran's brinksmanship of nuclear steps, which have been aimed at pressuring the United States to remove sanctions as called for by the 2015 accord. President Trump bolted from the agreement negotiated under his predecessor, Barack Obama, under which Iran had drastically curbed its nuclear activities. But the Trump administration, until now, had issued waivers for companies primarily from Russia, that are still present in Iran to carry out the agreement. Chile's top court Wednesday denied prosecutors' request to jail a 29-year-old man awaiting extradition to France to face charges of murdering his Japanese ex-girlfriend. The state prosecutor's office, which represents the interest of the French state in the case, argued the man was a flight risk and sought to ensure he was held in custody while awaiting extradition. Via remote, Diane Roberts.